Okay. Okay, welcome. Welcome to Go On 200. It's been a while, my friends, that we've been back here. So, how's everyone doing? Anyway, great.
Good.
Anyway, this is Yiqian here. Xiaoxing to my right. And on the further end, we have Daniel. And we are back to our shenanigans. So, hopefully, everybody is well. Okay, right.
I don't know.
What?
What shenanigans?
Shenanigans. I don't know. We're up to a lot of good. Okay, so I think the word on the street now is inflation. And I think there's this thing called the bear market. We might have gone into the bear market. Seems like recession might be imminent as well. So let me ask you all a question. What's the difference between a recession and a depression?
I know. A recession means that your neighbor is out of job.
My neighbor is out of job. Okay.
Yeah. A depression means that you are out of job.
Aiyo. So depression is everyone out of job lah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No, you are in depression if you are out of job. If only your neighbor is out of job, that means it's a recession.
So depression is a mental state.
Yeah.
Okay, but truly, I'm curious though. What is really a recession? Yeah.
Recession
Yeah.
For me to define, is it?
Yeah.
It's 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth.
Oh.
Wow. Go Google.
Sounds pretty bleak.
Yeah. Or you can use Siri.
Siri. Hey Siri, what is a depression and what is
What's
a
a
recession?
recession?
Right. So
Yes.
after talking about recession, what else do you want to talk about?
We are talking about recession.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I recall when I first graduated back then, it was in the midst of SARS. I think 1 year before graduation, we were in the middle of SARS. And then I graduated in the School of Building. So you can imagine the construction scene, wherever there was SARS was a big thing back then.
Yeah.
If on hindsight, when you look back now, it seems like it's just a very small thing in the economy. I think a lot of people have forgotten about it, just like how COVID is happening now and about to leave us. But when we're in the midst of SARS, it was almost like the biggest thing on earth. We think that it's going to be
Yeah.
horrendous. I think that was my first year at work, and then the year before I graduated, the 911 happened.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were all skeptical about whether we could find a job when we graduate. Yeah, and of course, graduating in the construction line, I was doubtful that I can find a job there. So I didn't go into construction. I went straight into marketing, which was a lot more fun. And looking at it now, back then when I first graduated, I was the average man on the street. If you talk to me about recession, I could barely feel the real impact of that, to be honest, because of the unawareness of what's happening.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why now when I share that with my client, sometimes I could understand why they can't feel it that much, because they are not aware of the impact of how the recession can actually affect your finances. Yeah. Unlike now, when every day our head of investment research is sharing with us how that really impact, it really hit me hard that money is really getting smaller and smaller, and that is really no laughing matter. Yeah.
So, sorry, to build on the fact that you actually didn't stay in construction and then you moved on to marketing, so you were pretty adaptable. But at that point, with so many things going on, I'm sure some of your peers might have trouble getting a job after graduating, considering if they're really focused on getting to work, like working on, like doing looking for a job that has got to do with their major.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. A lot of my friends who continue in the industry, they could not find any job there, and the reason why I got my job so quickly was because I was willing to take whatever that comes along.
Right.
Even though it was a salary that wasn't like something that I thought was reasonable, but I didn't care.
How much was the salary? Just curious.
1,008.
1,008. That was in 2003 SARS period.
I think so.
Okay.
05?
Huh? 05. Okay. After SARS. Just after SARS.
It was first year of SARS, I remember.
First year of SARS. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
How about yourself, Daniel, when you graduated?
I graduated in July 2007. That was the peak of the market. Thereafter, 2008, the subprime crisis came. So I remember we were just grabbing jobs wherever we can. But of course, my first job is in Unicorn. So I'm quite lucky.
Oh, lucky you.
Yes.
You joined in the midst of a crisis.
I joined at the peak of the market. Then my friends were looking for jobs during that period also. So whatever jobs that came along, they just grabbed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I lied. I think I had experience with regards to the crisis after 2007. Because I remember I was flying back then and the flights were empty. Yeah. So yeah, I think that it wasn't as bad as COVID when nobody could fly, like all flights were halted, but I remember the cabins being really empty. So probably that was the only thing I felt back then. But because I also jumped into whatever I could find after graduation, so technically speaking, I didn't feel so much. But I think a lot of my peers also pivoted to things outside of their own major.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess...
Most of my friends who study life science together, right, we all took jobs that were outside of life science. So I got friends who went to teaching, some went to headhunting, you know, so everything out of life science. It's not easy to find a job. Yeah.
I went into like my ex-boss, my first boss was a aromatherapist, and because it was in the midst of SARS, right, she actually concocted like I still remember the name of it, called Breathe Ease.
Breathe Ease.
It's like a lotion that can alleviate the breathing because of the SARS period. So in fact, in every recession, there is bound to be opportunities. If you use that well, like COVID, some industry does flourish. I know of some millionaires who pop in during the midst of COVID, especially the F&B who was quick enough to do delivery. They could really flourish. Of course, some other industry at the same time also couldn't survive.
Floundered.
Yeah. So if you ask me, it's really not so much about whether is it a crisis, is it a recession, but how do we react and how do we prepare ourselves for that to come? Yeah.
So before moving on to how to ride out the recession, maybe from your own experience, how did you guys and your peers ride out your recession back then? I mean, with 1,008 salary, and then maybe with less spending power. I mean, there is a period of time from then and now, but I believe the fundamentals are still the same. Like, what can like youths who are just coming into the workforce right now, what can they do, or what did you guys do to sort of ride it out at that point?
You know, the truth is back then, right, when I first graduated, I don't feel the pain of a recession. It was just like, if I have 1,008, then I'm just going to...
赚少花少.
Yeah, 赚少花少, so it doesn't really matter. On the high side, I felt that I have missed out the opportunity back then, because now that I'm aware that during every recession, it's actually the best time for us to power out our savings. Meaning to say, if back then, instead of saving in the bank, I was saving in some investments, I think I could have made a lot more than what I'm doing right now.
So you were a saver already from back then? Like, you weren't like, oh my gosh, this is my first job, I'm going to spend on whatever I earn?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think a lot could have been done better. Yeah, that's because of the lack of awareness of the opportunities behind a recession.
How about yourself, Daniel?
I was using a Nokia phone previously, so I tracked my finance every single day during 07 period, 07 to 08 lah. So every month I just spent $500. Imagine that.
What?
Yeah. Coffee at the kopitiam, makan at the kopitiam. I just spend $500. Then whatever I can, I just save. So that's how I type through.
And invest back into your business, because you mentioned you were in Unicorn already, right?
So after that, I got a PA, I got an office, and I got my car in 2009. So I think in a recession, there's great opportunities actually.
It must be exciting. So this is like your second crisis in this job.
Second crisis in this job. Second experience of a financial economic crisis, yes. But it's not a crisis in my job. But yeah, it's a great time to be investing, because in 08 when my clients, we contacted them, we asked them to invest aggressively, and they made about 30-40% in their investments over a period of, let's say, 4 years or so. So I think there's great opportunities also. So coming to today is also a period of recession, I think, or going into recession. I think it's a great opportunity also. Yeah.
Okay, right. So talking about recession, the imminent recession, I mean, we can't run away from it. So what are the ways that we can actually prepare ourselves for the inevitable? Like, for example, maybe from where I read somewhere, one of the things to ride out the recession could be holding power. Maybe you all could explain a bit what does holding power, how crucial it is during this imminent.
I guess the first thing in financial planning is to make sure that you have enough contingency funding. So the textbook answer is 3 to 6 months of monthly income in your bank. So that's the textbook answer, but it depends on your job stability, you know, and of course little things like your relationship with your boss. Your boss don't like you in a recession, then you know that's it lah. So I think the first thing is to take care of your own liquidity, have sufficient money in the bank, but not too much, because you also want to leverage on the opportunities.
I guess the most concerning thing that can happen during a recession is a retrenchment.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, it's not so much about the retrenchment, but how quick that person can get re-employed. So if that person is not picky about the job, about the salary, he could easily find another job if he's flexible enough. It's when he start to be more selective, that's when the situation comes in. So holding power is really got to do with, like what Daniel mentioned, the liquidity. It's also about whether you have any property at the moment, any outstanding loan, with the rising interest rate, how does that affect you? So in a nutshell, having a financial plan in place is critical, because that will help you determine how safe you are going to sail through this crisis, and whether you are going to emerge stronger as a victor, or you are going to end up as a victim in this entire economic crisis. Yeah.
I think as citizens, like Singapore citizens, we have been pretty lucky, because when COVID happened and a lot of us were caught unaware with bills to pay and a lot of people out of jobs suddenly and have to pivot, the government's what is that called, like upskilling courses really helped a lot of people tide through this period. However, going through this already, I believe a lot of you probably out there don't want to go through it again. So I think it might be a very lonely journey as well if you are sole breadwinner, for example, and you have to maybe put up a strong front and support your family. So I think one of the things that we offer as financial planners is also a partnership together with you, so you don't feel so lonely in your journey.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I may sum up, I think it's these 3 P's that we need to keep in mind. The first one is really having a financial plan in place, whereby this financial plan will really guide you through the exact roadmap in achieving your financial destiny. And then secondly, having power up your savings. Making full use of this crisis, instead of saving $1 a day, if you are investing 50% below the stock market, it could mean that $1 put into investment could give you $1 of return in time to come. So that's like one for one. Yeah. And now, of course, lastly, like what Isi mentioned, is finding the right partner to do that for you.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a lonely, scary, and murky journey. There's always someone like us who can be your beacon of light.
这我做不出，你们继续吧。
Okay, anything to add before we end this episode then?
I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Oh, now you're good.
Now I'm good.
Now you're good. Okay, great.
Now I'm good. Okay, I'll do it.
Okay, thank you very much, friends. So this will be the end of our episode today. Do remember to like, subscribe, and click on the notification sign, and join us soon again. Hopefully, we are back in program. I'm not sure. I think we should be.
Yes.
Of course.
See you next week.
Next week, yeah. So see you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye.